Hey guys, how we doing? Andrew here from M&E Ranch, coming at you again with another review and unboxing of a product here. Today we're going to be unboxing and looking over this thermal imaging camera by a company called FLIR ONE. It's for the iPad or iPhone. It's a dongle unit that fits on the bottom of your phone into your charge port that acts as a thermal camera. Anyway, if this information is useful to you or you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, we're going to hop right into it. Here we go. Alright, first off, here it is. It's the FLIR ONE thermal imaging camera, and it's made for the iPhone or iPad. Comes in a pretty nice box. Looks like we have a parts list here on the side, which is the case, cord, and camera itself, or unit itself. And this comes with a pretty good review. I've always wanted a thermal camera or a thermal imaging camera for all my electronic work, especially when I'm working with batteries and cabling. I like to test my connections and see how hot they're getting, if they're handling the amp draw, and not overheating or going past the specs of the wire or the device battery that I'm using. So this is going to help me, and probably help a lot of people, kind of determine if their battery and wiring and inverters are operating properly. Biggest one is if components get overheated and you can catch it early, could be a pretty good safety deterrent from letting those lithium ions get too hot if you don't have the proper fusing or breakers on your setup. But nonetheless, using this device can probably pinpoint or stop some of those easy fixes from getting into big ones or big problems. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what we have inside. This box looks like it's going to be open from the bottom, and see what is inside. Nice packaging, solid. Always like it when products come in these boxes with the lift lids. It looks like we have a couple pieces of tape here. One on this side. The tape is actually labeled ISO. Interesting. Oh, it opens like this. I'm sorry. There's the logo, FLIR. I hope I'm saying that correctly. FLIR or FLIR. But I'm guessing FLIR. I've never heard it pronounced before, but from people on some of the DIY Powerwall and DIY battery communities have used this one on their phones. It's relatively priced. Not as expensive as some of the industrial ones, but is supposed to perform as good as some of the more expensive units. But I've heard nothing but good things about this, so I'm going to go ahead and put it to the test too. Show you guys when I come up. See the heat. Interesting. First thing, it looks like it's going to be a little accessory pouch. And inside the accessory pouch we have a thank you card. It looks like it comes from the general manager or company manager. Thank you for buying. A getting started guide, which I'm assuming is going to have all the different languages and instructions on how to install and get started. Documentation there. I'm not sure what this pouch is for. There's a piece of foam in here that's actually adhered to the inside, but I'm guessing that's going to be explained in the manual. Here is the unit itself. Really compact. You can see the lightning charger port, and it does look like it has an extra port here, a power button. Oh, that is very cool. Already has a charge, has its own battery. Did not know that. I thought it ran off just the phone's battery, but that's a nice plus to know. It looks like it has two cameras, or a camera and a infrared sensor here. And then there's a scroll wheel here, probably for focusing or for temperature scaling. Again, we'll find that out as we go through the settings. Taking off the little insert here, there's more underneath. And as pictured on the outside, a nice carrying case. This is actually really good quality. Kind of like a faux leather or almost rubberized exterior, hard shell pouch inside. A nice elastic strap there. Looks like it holds it like so, or that could be for the cord, and it goes in here into this elastic pouch. Either way, fits nice. And of course, looks like a power cord, which is no, it is a USB-C connector, not a micro USB, which is interesting. Haven't seen that before. Most devices like this that have any kind of onboard battery, always usually lithium ion or some other lithium, excuse me, type battery. Usually comes with a 5 volt USB mini. Very interesting. Alright, let's go ahead and kind of flip through the guide here, and I'll kind of move the camera around to get a closer view. It says getting started, FLIR ONE series. We'll go, and it looks like we have a lot of different languages. But it looks like the instructions are only about 3 pages long if I go through the numbers of the table of contents here. 2 to 5, 5 to 8, 8 to 3. So not very big instructions, but nonetheless, let's go through them. Illustrations showing, again, the 2 different lenses here. Hopefully that comes on camera. 2 different lenses here. The scroll wheel, charging port, or the lightning port. Male side going into the female side of the phone or iPad, whatever one you're using. Myself, I'm going to be using a iPhone for this. I have an old phone, iPhone 6, that I'm kind of just dedicate to a thermal camera for it. On the bottom looks like the power button, and then 2, there's an indicator light or a reset button. Looks like a reset button, and that's right here below my thumb. And then obviously the charging port for the unit itself. Page 2, being in English, gives a thank you out. Thank you for choosing our product from FLIR System. We hope that the product will meet your expectations and that you consider us again for your future needs. Inside it says it comes with a infrared camera, pouch, and USB cable, which it did. View from the front, it does say visual camera, which we pointed out as the top camera lens here, and then the next one is the thermal camera. So yeah, I think I said thermal lens, but it's a thermal camera. So there's 2 different cameras, phone connector, and the 1-fit. It says the 1-fit height control. I guess I'll have to go with explanation as I get to that. From the view from the bottom, on/off switch, charging indicator LED. I said it was reset button, but it's actually just a charger indicator, which makes sense, and it will probably red or green LED. And then yeah, it is a USB-C power connector. And the quick start guide: charge the FLIR ONE camera approximately for 1 hour. So I'll probably have to charge that up and then come back onto the video here, but we can go through the settings and the install. In fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's go ahead and plug it in. I have a power source here. Take the cord out. Go ahead and plug it in. I have a battery pack here with a USB port. We'll plug it in. Red indication light comes on the power button, most likely indicating that it is charging and needs more charge. I bet it will say something like it turns green when it's done. Download and install the FLIR ONE app on your phone. The app is available on the App Store and Google Play Store, so it is a iOS and looks maybe like an Android or Google device as well, but it only indicates on the box that it's for Apple, the store, App Store, and then it says iPhone, iPad. So maybe they make two different versions of this, and they're just using the manual as a catch-all. It says push the on and off button on the FLIR ONE camera to turn it on. The indicator light will flash green when the FLIR ONE camera is ready. Connect the FLIR ONE camera to your phone. If needed, adjust the blue dial on the One Fit, that was that little scroll dial, and extend the connector to the appropriate length to fit your phone's protective case. Interesting. Starts out with the logo, pops up. First thing it says is to plug in your FLIR ONE to see the heat. I'm guessing that's their tagline, is see the heat. It was on the box and the contents, and it's on their screen, so they're going with see the heat. And just to clarify, earlier I mentioned that didn't know what this scroll bar was. It's actually a telescoping wheel to telescope the actual connection here to your phone. So in case you had a bulky case or a case that had extension on the bottom, this will telescope or periscope to fit your case snugly. So it's not just hanging off or have extra length there or not enough length. You can telescope that. Pretty cool. That's actually good engineering there, because a lot of people have cases on their phones, and some devices just won't fit unless you take the case off, and that's always annoying to take a case off just to use a device for a few minutes and then have to fool with it again. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the unit. It said to push the power button, wait for a green flashing light. Well, I'm guessing that's the green flashing light that we need. So I'll go ahead and you can do this both ways. The lightning cable or lightning port can be with the camera facing forward, or the camera facing back, or forward or back, vice versa, depending on how you hold your phone. The one thing that I do notice that's going to be a problem for me is I like to hold my phone like this, with my palm and my hand at the bottom, so the camera of the phone is not blocked. And that's, most people do that, hold their phone like that, and I can see that being a problem. But I think if we plug this in and it detects it, which it has, hopefully it flips the view, and that's very nice. There we go. We can have it on top. You can hold like you normally do, and that way you're not blocking the camera. But right out of the gate, it starts giving us a thermal image here, and I'll kind of scroll around the room here. I'm going to try my battery pack right there behind us, and that was the battery pack that I used to charge the unit while we were waiting for the unit to charge. And if we scroll over, sure enough, we have a thermal image coming through of the battery pack, which is definitely a yellow versus a blue background, the ambient temperature of the room, or of the surface here. The yellow indicating a warmer surface, and that is a lithium battery pack. And you can see it's yellow, even yellower inside where the battery pack is, and also where the USB connections were. You can see that those were in series, and they all warmed up, even though I was only using 2 cords there, one for my phone and one for the thermal unit to charge, and it was only on there for about 45 minutes. It was able to pick up the thermal residue, or the thermal heat signature there below the plastic, which is really cool. Exactly what we got this unit for. I'll scroll around the room a little bit more, and over there is my computer and screen, obviously giving off a thermal signature as well. And I'll go back to the battery pack since it's on the desk. Makes it a little easier to view. And we'll go through some of the options. There's a toggle here on the top that toggles back and forth between this little indicator here, which is in the middle of the screen. Maybe it'll be easier if I show it to you like this. And there, just to give an indication, there's my arm and hand. And I'm assuming if I put my hand on the desk and then remove my hand, there will be a thermal residue behind. There you go. So pretty cool. Up here, as I was saying, there's a toggle between that little indicator that pops on and off that gives a pinpoint of the middle of the screen of what the temperature is. I don't know how accurate that is, but it looks like the closer you are, the easier it is to pinpoint inside of those thermal changes. There's a button for the light, which activates the camera or the phone's flashlight. There looks like to be a timing setting, a menu here, which I'm not sure, a battery indicator. Over here, it's this drop-down menu for your home, which if we go to home, gives you a little bit of their ad to buy their FLIR products, your camera or gallery of images you've taken. It looks like a tips and trick menu, probably giving you some tutorials on how to use the unit. I have my phone in do not disturb mode or airplane mode, so I don't have any pop-ups while we're doing the film, but tips and tricks and a community setting, news, and a link to the FLIR ONE app, which we already have, but there are other versions of it for some of the different units. Camera, gallery, their contact information, and settings. And I've only gone through the settings already, and the settings are pretty much just a toggle between Celsius and Fahrenheit, along with some other basic settings, but the settings are on the outside of the app or in the general settings of the phone rather than settings in the app, which I found kind of interesting that they would separate the settings for that, but maybe being a external device to simplify the app, they exported it out to the actual phone settings. But very simple, very basic. So if we go back to the camera, there is 3 modes: video, photo, and time-lapse. And time-lapse is a pretty interesting one, and I haven't obviously used it extensively yet, but the time-lapse is if you had to film something that would slowly warm up over time. That would be like a battery pack, or maybe as the sun rose on some solar panels, you can see the heat signature throughout the day, something like that. But that's an interesting one. That's a nice little feature. Over here we have some modes that switch between different color schemes and thermal signaturing, which is nice if you're doing different applications. But I'm used to, and most people are used to, this difference between blues and yellows, and blues being a cooler color and the yellows being the warmer colors. I think that's what most people are used to, what most thermal cameras use, but it's good to have the option. This MSX is a difference between the combination of the normal camera and the thermal camera, kind of a combination of two to give you a decently accurate representation of what you're viewing, along with the thermal imaging, which is nice. A lock span and a selfie mode, which I believe is just gonna flip the screen, which it just does, yeah. And the only issue I have with the view screen here is the refresh rate is a little clunky. That means the refresh frequency is probably pretty low, but that's pretty standard, acceptable for a unit of this size, and especially all the information that it's gathering with the camera, that it's going to have a little bit of a limitation versus the expensive units, which can run sometimes up into the thousands. And this one's so moderately priced, I'm not going to really qualm about that too much. But you can see it as I go back and forth, there's a little bit of delay, but if you're actually pointing at something steady, that's not going to be an issue. If I'm here just trying to take a picture of my hand, steady and trying to pinpoint a certain location on my hand of a temperature I want to see, that refresh rate is not going to be that big of a deal. The app itself is pretty simple, just with those toggles that I showed you earlier, the settings here and the external settings into the phone. That's pretty much all it is. Obviously there's a photo and video setting, which depending on what you're trying to do, you choose which one you want to use. But that's exactly what I expected from a pretty basic unit like this. But it's doing exactly what it advertises, and I don't know how I would test the accuracy of the temperature readings here, but taking on face that it is accurate. It's doing exactly what it needs to do, at least to indicate the difference between a cool ambient temperature and a hotter temperature based on its surroundings. And with the toggle of the pinpoint, like for instance, if I go in my hand, I'm in the mid to high 90s on my hand, which is exactly where it should be. So pretty awesome. Besides the reversing of the camera, where you would hold it like this and obviously get a blocked view with your hand, it's nice that it allows the screen to flip and hold it like this. Obviously your phone's upside down, but all the controls would be correct for you if you're holding like this. Most people hold the phone like that. We can pull the unit off, and it looked like it just froze the image from its last reading, and just blank now. So looks like it works pretty well. Well, anyway, that's a quick little review, a quick little unboxing, a quick little demonstration of what this FLIR unit could do. For what it is, it's actually a pretty nice little device, compact, slim, really nice with this telescopic raising and lowering of the connection here for different phone cases, which is really nice. I hate taking my case off, and even though this is a very slim case, almost everything I use as an external device for this, especially things like this, dongles. I hate taking the case off. I even bought this case specifically to be slim, so I didn't have to do that, but even some things are still too close to fitting to allow that to happen. But this makes it really nice. It's light, it's compact, it feels really well made. On the sides there is some grip, so you can actually pull it off without having to wiggle it and, put stress or tension onto this connector. And there you can see on the app it popped back up and saying, hey, it's looking for the device. And here we'll do one where I put the camera this way, and we'll see how fast it detects the thermal. And there it is, right back at me. There's myself and the camera. It's detecting the my thermal signature, the camera's thermal signature, and looks like it's working pretty well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out our other videos where we're constantly reviewing and unboxing different devices and products for both our solar and off-grid situations. But if you do like it, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, everybody.